Before I talk about how to clean your boats and your kayaks, I need to talk about why you need to. So invasive aquatic plants are plants that are not naturally from here. So they're often brought in through the aquarium trade. So they come from China. The hydrilla that Betsy was talking about is from China, Ireland, Latvia, and some other places. And we have some that come from South America. And they come through the aquarium trade. And then when the fish dies or they don't want the aquarium anymore, they take it to a lake and dump the aquarium, thinking that they are saving the plants and, just releasing them into their natural environment, but in fact, it's not their natural environment. And what makes a good aquarium plant? Something that is disease resistant, something that grows fast, something that can grow pretty much anywhere. So as soon as it gets into this water, it can outcompete natives, it can create a monoculture, it can impede navigation, recreation, things like that. And then once it's in a lake, it spreads water body to water body primarily through boaters. So if you've heard the phrase clean, drain, dry, that is, the motto to clean, drain, and dry your boat, your kayak, any of your watercraft before taking it to another water body. Because these plants, unlike, terrestrials and the invasives that we're used to, they spread through fragmentation. So if you have, this is variable leaf water milfoil, which is an invasive. If you have a plant like this and you break it, each plant is going to sprout roots and grow a new plant. So this is how it spreads. So if you imagine the propeller, chopping up these invasive plants, creating all of these new fragments, they can create new plants. So if your boat is coming out of the water body and is covered in plant material, it can sprout new roots in the next water body that you go to. But primarily, when we're talking clean, drain, dry, it's not just the plants, because you may say, well, I look at my kayak and there's nowhere for plants to, be hanging out. There's also invasive mussels, clams, and other things like zebra mussels, Asian clam, and they have these veligers that are really, you can't really see them with the naked eye, and they can be hanging out on your kayak and you wouldn't even know it. So that's where, the cleaning practices are really important. So Connecticut DEP recommends that you dry your boat or kayak in the sun, a sunny, dry area for 3 to 5 days between water bodies. Now, for somebody like me who goes lake after lake after lake every day during the field season, I don't have time to let my boats dry, so I have to wash them. So what we use is a power washer. So we have this little Ryobi power washer. And we use a cleaning solution. We can use Simple Green, you can use 409, anything you'd like. And we hook it up to our hose and some power, and we power wash the whole boat, the trailer, everything in between. Now for kayaks, you can use a spray solution in a cloth and just wipe it down. And you have to make sure you drain any water that's in any live wells you may have, or, just gets inside the kayak. And you want to make sure any equipment you're using. So we've had fishermen spread invasive aquatic plants through, their boots or their fishing equipment. So it's really important that anything that's going into the water is cleaned and maintained. And when you think about the trailer, Betsy spread some plants around about when you're taking your boat out of the water, a lot of the trailer goes into the water. And so there's a lot of area where these plants can get trapped. So you have to consider the wheels. Rollers can harbor a lot of moisture. So even if you've left your boat to clean or to dry for 5 days, this moisture can be trapped between the boat and the roller, and it can preserve the plant. So the plant still has water to stay alive. So it's really important that you get in there with your power washer or your other whatever you're using. And then obviously your propeller on your motor, you want to make sure that that's kept clean. If you have a lake with like a localized infestation, so say you find hydrilla just at the boat ramp and we haven't yet put, our management in place, you want to make sure your prop is clean of any fragments before you leave that area, because you could take the hydrilla and help spread it all around the lake by ripping through it with your prop and taking all the fragments with you. So there is like a in-lake aspect to clean, drain, dry as well. You want to make sure that you pull your plug, drain out any water. And yeah, then we also have this Ryobi makes a water broom, which makes it really easy to get under your boat because you want to make sure you're getting all those rollers and everything with the soapy solution. So this will attach to our power washer, and you can just roll it under and it shoots water out that way. So it is a much easier way to get in those hard to reach areas that you may not use otherwise. Yeah, another thing to be aware of is, you know, as you're pulling your boat onto the trailer, if you see a lot of fragments that are floating around, you can move them out of the way to sort of prevent that. We certainly go to some boat ramps that are just full of plants, and so we're very aware as we're taking the boat up that, you know, it might be coming with some more stuff. What also helps is, you know, when you first enter the boat launch and you've launched your boat, sometimes when you take that trailer out, it's covered in plants. It's best to remove those plants before you then get your boat back on when you're done for the day. And a lot of people ask, what do you do with the plants? So it's recommended to either put them in the nearest trash can or in the, you know, the wooded area near the lake, just so that you're not reintroducing more plants to the lake. And they'll die, decompose. The plants are mostly water. That's what makes them aquatic. So once they dry up, they get pretty small. And I have to keep reminding myself, I talk about plants a lot because that's what I study, but there are also the zebra mussel veligers and things. So the power washing really takes care of any zebra mussels that could be on as well. Yeah, there are a lot of boat wash stations. People talk about, you know, why are we not doing more to implement clean, drain, dry across the state. So there are different systems. So you can get the CD3 is a popular brand. That is a waterless system. So that uses a hose and some air pressure to clean your boat. That's less effective for Asian clam and zebra mussels, but it is going to be effective for hydrilla. It's also very prominent, easy to use. You don't need a water source. Landa has some trailered systems for hot water. So you can do a hot water pressure wash at your boat ramps. That is what Lake Champlain uses and some other areas. There are also other states like New York. They have boat wash stations on the rest stops along the highway. So if you're driving through the Adirondacks or the Finger Lakes region, you can just pull off on the highway, wash your boat, get a ticket, show it to the boat launch monitor, and then, you know, proven that you've cleaned your boat. So there are states with a lot of options that don't necessarily mean you have to go put a really expensive system at your boat ramp. You can, you know, hook up with car washes and other things to try to promote clean, drain, dry. So we're working with Deep to try to find some solutions, because this hydrilla, if you guys aren't familiar, is there's a new subspecies in the Connecticut River. We've mapped over 1,000 acres, and it has now spread to 10 other water bodies throughout the state. And we're very concerned about this. Betsy's very concerned for Long Pond, and we're finding it at a lot of state boat ramps. So that's where we're usually finding these beginner introductions. So there's a lot of talk about clean, drain, dry, boat washing stations, boat ramp monitors, things like that to sort of prevent the spread of hydrilla.